For weeks now, Hillary Clinton and her supporters have pretended to be outraged at the fact that Bernie Sanders has yet to release all of his tax returns. Meanwhile, it's now been 71 days, 37 minutes, and 38 seconds since Hillary Clinton told us she would look into it when asked if she would release the transcripts of paid speeches she gave to Goldman Sachs.
Are you willing to release the transcripts of all your paid speeches? We do know through reporting that there were transcription services for all of those paid speeches. In full disclosure, would you release all of them?
I will look into it. I don't know the status, but I will certainly look into it.
So obviously, this is a blatant attempt to make it appear as though Bernie Sanders has something to hide in order to divert attention away from the fact that Hillary Clinton has not released her paid speech transcripts. Now look, I've always maintained that Bernie Sanders should release his tax returns, of course, because one, I think that you should just be more transparent, and two, if he doesn't, then the Hillary Clinton campaign and her supporters will just continue to use it against him. So I think it's practical to release his tax returns. And today, he actually did release his 2014 return, and as promised, it's pretty boring. There's nothing shocking or even mildly interesting in there. Now, he does plan to release the rest of his tax returns, but since there's nothing interesting in his 2014 return, we can expect the same thing to be true for the rest of his returns. Now, even though there's nothing in it, we're gonna dig in. So Politico explains that Bernie Sanders paid $27,653 in federal taxes on adjusted gross income of $205,000, and the majority of Sanders' earnings came from his $174,000 salary as a U.S. Senator, as well as Social Security benefits. The returns, filed jointly with his wife, Jane, were just as boring and straightforward as Sanders repeatedly said they would be, particularly compared to those of Hillary Clinton, his multi-millionaire opponent for the nomination. And that's it. Now, the thing that I love is that this whole ordeal turned out to be more embarrassing for Hillary Clinton than Bernie Sanders because in releasing his tax returns, she drew attention to the fact that Bernie Sanders makes less in a year than she makes in 1 hour giving paid speeches to Goldman Sachs. And furthermore, it shows that she makes roughly 137 times more than Bernie Sanders each year. She should never have brought this up because it just shows how far removed she is from ordinary people and how closer Bernie Sanders is to the average citizen. So I am actually glad in the end that this came out and that they're making a huge commotion about this, because all it does is show Hillary Clinton's flaws and show that Bernie Sanders is very, very normal. So now how about this? Since Bernie Sanders went out of his way to release one of his tax returns, how about you go tit for tat? So every time he releases a tax return, you release one of your paid speech transcripts to Goldman Sachs, Hillary. You don't have to release all of them, just one maybe? Any one of your choosing? No? That's right, because you can't call him out on that, and you shouldn't have called him out on this in the first place because you're a hypocrite. You can't claim to be transparent and call someone else out for their lack of transparency if you've hidden so much, if you refuse to release something that I think is really important for us voters to see. So I love that this tax return scandal happened now, because it just shows that Bernie Sanders is coming out on top, much like all of the attacks waged against him by Hillary Clinton and her supporters, because it just makes him more popular. It just ends up exposing Hillary Clinton more than Bernie Sanders. So this is something that I'm really excited about, and I'm glad that, this became a big issue, because it's helping Bernie. So keep it up, guys. But yeah, Bernie Sanders, hopefully he releases the rest of them soon, so that way this whole issue can be put to rest. But I'm not going to sweat it now, because not that I was doubting him in the first place, but I just this shows what he's been saying all along. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along.